Hi kindergartners. We are going to get started on another new project today, and we are going to be learning about something called form. Form is an element of design, and it means that something can pop out. It has something called a height, so how tall it is, something called a width, how wide it is, and then it also has something called depth. I say that funny because kids think I'm saying a different word, so depth is the third one, which means how deep it is. So if I were to get a piece of paper or a book like this, okay? The book is flat for the most part. And maybe this isn't the best example if I could find. I've got a piece of paper, I'll be right back. Here's a piece of paper, okay? This is not a form. It has a height, yes. It has a width, how wide it is, yes. But it doesn't have a depth. It doesn't pop out from anywhere. But if I take this piece of paper and I roll it like this, does it have a height? Yep. Does it have a width? Yep. Does it have a depth? Yep, this now is a form. If I were to hold this up to a wall, I don't know if you can see it, it would pop out from the wall, okay? If I put this flat piece of paper against the wall, it doesn't pop out from the wall. So it has to have all three things, a height, a width, and a depth in order to be a form. We are going to be making a form, a three-dimensional form, and it's going to be a bumblebee. I will do the demonstration in just a second. All right, so as I said, we are going to be making a bumblebee, and I have all of the supplies here that you'll need. I am going to start just with a yellow piece of paper and black strips. Okay, now I have already cut the black strips to size, so they're the size that you need. What you're going to do is glue the strips down so that they completely cover from the left edge to the right edge your paper. If they're going off the edge of the paper, it means you have them in the wrong direction. So I'm going to take it like that. I'm just going to make a little squiggle of glue. Notice I didn't use a lot of glue. Using a lot of glue is going to make it very hard for us to do this project. So I made my squiggle, and I'm going to line it up with the edge of my paper like this and smush it down. And I just go back and forth a few times to make sure it's stuck good. Okay, now I want 3 stripes, but I want yellow in between. Okay, so I don't want to glue them like that, I want it more like this. So what I'm going to do is another squiggle. Oop, it's getting away from me. Leave a little space of yellow and then line it up. Smush it down a few times until it's stuck on there really good. And then I'll do my third one, like this. Now this next step can be a little bit tricky. The next step is to turn it into the form that we talked about. So right now, it's not a form. It's not three-dimensional, it's two-dimensional. It has a height, it has a width. It does not pop out from the table, so it does not have a depth. So what I have to do is put glue on one side. I have to roll it and make sure that this part goes on top of the gluey part, like this, okay? And once I get it lined up good, I'm gonna stick my arm in there and I am going to hold it in place for a while. So it looks like this. You may need a little bit of help with this. I do want you to try first. But you're probably going to hold it in there and count to, boy, I think you guys are working on counting to 100. So you might want to work on counting to 100, not super fast. So not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. More like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then all the way up to 100. If you can't quite count to 100 yet, that's okay. Maybe you want to count to 50 and you can count to 50 2 times. But I'm still holding it while I'm talking, because if I just let go, it's not going to stick. It's going to pop off and it won't work. So I'm kind of rubbing my hand back and forth in there if it's easier. You guys have smaller hands than me, so if it's easier for you to use both hands, but you want to make sure that you're smushing right where that crease is, where the two pieces of paper came together and where your glue is. So again, I'm still talking. I don't think I've made it to 100 yet. But what I can do is just take one hand off and see if it sticks. And then very carefully take the other one off and look at it sticking, okay? So the next step is to take these pieces and you're going to go like this with them. And you want to put glue on the outside edge, just a dot on the outside, flip it over, dot on the outside, and you're gonna do the same thing. So now I'm gonna stick this inside, and I'm gonna stick this inside. Mine's a little bit long, so I'll probably trim them for you guys. But I'm gonna hold those in place also for a while, right where it's glued, so that they stick really nicely. Notice that I don't see the black up here because I tucked it inside the body of my bee. And I'll show you that in a minute. I just want to make sure they're stuck on here good. So see how they're tucked inside? That's what you also want to do. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to roll it kind of like that. Put some glue here. Put some glue here. Tuck it inside and hold it in place. These will become the eyes of your bee. And again, I'll just hold it in place for a little bit. You probably don't have to count to 100 for these. So now it looks like that, okay? And again, I will cut these a little bit shorter for you guys so that they aren't popping out quite so much. Now, what we're going to do is take this, and I don't know if you can see it from there, but I have drawn a wing. I will also have these drawn for you already. What I'm going to do is cut that out as carefully as I can, right on those lines. It looks very much like a heart. It's just that it is rounded at the bottom instead of pointy at the bottom. So it looks like this. And I used a piece of scrap paper, so that's why mine looks like this. But I'm gonna make a line of glue right down the center, like from this part down to that part. And I'm going to glue it right up here behind the eyes on top. And I have one hand inside and one hand on here, smushing it again so that it is starting to stick, okay? And now I have my bumblebee, okay? That's all there is to it. If you have any questions, please let me know.